It's Saturday, first week in November. We're getting close to the first fire of the season out in the shop, and I've got a little bit of a problem that I caused myself. Last year was the first year we were in this shop, and I put the wood stove in, and I didn't have a storm collar for the top of the chimney, and when it rains real hard, I get a little bit of water up in the top of the ceiling box. So we're going to fix that today. We've got a storm collar. I'm going to do most of the talking about what I'm doing down here because I'm afraid of heights, and I worry that when I get up there I'm not going to want to do much talking. So right now I'll pan to a picture of the chimney coming out of the top of the roof there. There's a piece of flashing that has a rubber boot that's supposed to fit tight to the chimney pipe, and it, for the most part, it does a pretty good job of that, but when there's water directly on top of it, some of the water can seep through. So what you're supposed to do is put one of these on. This is a storm collar, and they come like that, and they're adjustable. They got a couple different slots here to fit your pipe size. So what you do is you spin it around there until you get your pipe size, and then you slide that into there and fold it over, and then you seal it with, they have a product that is a silicone product, and it's supposed to be high heat specifically for this. I'm not going to use that because I don't have any here. I live in the middle of nowhere. I'm not going to drive 45 minutes for that. And I've installed a few of these over the years in different shops and houses that I've lived in. And what I prefer to use is this JB, well, it's made by JB Weld Ultimate Black. 1 hour set time, it's 100% silicone, and it resists temperature up to 700 degrees, which I believe is actually a little bit more than what the actual product for this application is rated for. So what you do is, as close as you can get directly above, through the roof flashing comes up, and it has a little rubber piece around the pipe that's supposed to fit pretty tight. But then you go above that and you run a little bead of silicone on the bottom, slide that over and get it adjusted tight, and then you seal it to the pipe. And what that does is really make a waterproof seal there, so that the rubber one that you have under here doesn't even get anything on it. So that's what we're gonna go do. All right, as you can see here, this is our pipe coming out of the lower side of the shop. Has this rubber boot around, which does a pretty good job of keeping the moisture out. But, and if this was a typical application just on a one slope roof, it would probably be fine for the most part. But our biggest problem is the taller side of the shop. It has a very large square footage of roof, and it runs down here and onto this roof. But if you notice, right at the edge of the eave here, it falls pretty much all around this pipe and just totally soaks this. So it's going to be real important on this application to make sure we use this storm collar. All right, well, that took some doing. I think the trick is to get enough of this little tongue through that you can bend it up and use it for a pull tab. What I'm gonna do is make this seam on that side away from the water that's going to be downpouring on here. That way the pipe itself is going to block moisture from going down on top of this. We're going to seal it pretty good, but the more help we can get, the better. Give you a better look at what I was talking about. All the rain from this roof is coming down. Rain and snow, melted snow, it's coming down and hitting right here, and it's running right down on the top of that. So this should fix our problem. Well, it looks like we're not done yet. On my way down the roof, I looked at the stove cap, or the stovepipe cap, and decided I should probably clean the stovepipe before we get going for the winter. It's one of my least favorite things to do, but something I like less than that is to have a fire going at the end of the evening and then close the shop down and go in the house and not know what's going on out here. So it's a little added peace of mind. As you can tell, we had quite a bit of water coming in here because this is soaked. And one of the previous times that I cleaned this, I ran the brush down through the top of the stovepipe and it punched through and hit these little bricks and broke the bricks. That one's not broken, but it tore up this mat as well. And I didn't replace it at the time, I just kind of pieced it together up there. So I think I'm gonna use this opportunity to order some parts for this stove. As you can tell, that's one of the ones I broke, but I didn't replace it, I just kind of jammed it back in there. So this is a Quadrafire stove, and it has some fancy gas burning tubes that introduce air into it, and it burns the gases again on their way out. That's what these tubes are, with all the little holes. And it's got these bricks that lay on top of the tubes and that mat. I'm not really sure what that does, but I'm gonna order some parts and I'll do a little research. In the second part of this video, I'll have an answer for that. I think we'll probably go ahead and clean the stovepipe while we've got all this stuff out of the way. Well, it appears this stupid cap is stuck in such a way that it's not going to come off. When I try to pull on it like this, it's pulling the inner liner out of the pipe. So what I'm going to do is pop it off right here where it's actually loose and wants to come off. Take it down to the shop, take it apart and look at it, see if it's salvageable, or we got to get I know for sure we're going to get a new cap. We might have to get a new pipe. Well, that was a big old waste of time. If only I would have been able to see in there without going down this rabbit hole. I'll try to get a picture. This is after a whole season of burning. And as you can see, pretty darn clean. If I'd have known it was that clean, I wouldn't have even started this bloody project. But there's no way to know. And you can't put a price on peace of mind. Well, actually you might be able to. About $100 for that pipe and about $85 for the cap. That's the price of peace of mind this year. Let's see if we can get down without falling. All right, we were able to get off the roof without falling. Let's see if we can figure out why this stupid thing isn't coming off. Well, it's got these little dimples down in there, and they look like the type that when you spin, there's a little channel, you spin them to lock them, and then when you spin to unlock, they would come out. But if I remember correctly, the inside of this pipe just has a channel in there and no vertical reliefs for those to go in. That is very weird, because that would make this cap pretty much a one-time use without any way of getting it off. Well, it looks like we're gonna have to destroy it to get it off, and then see what we're looking at. That is an absolutely terrible design. You would think that Duravent would expect that once a year their customers are going to pop the cap off and clean their chimney pipe. But as you can see in here, this little channel right here doesn't have any reliefs, similar to that style where you turn it and you can take it out. This is just a solid channel around the sides, and this, as you can tell, has these little dimples all the way around that when you push it in there, it snaps into them, but when you try to pull it off, it locks tighter. I don't see how there was ever any way for this cap to come off without destroying it and or the pipe. Not or, and the pipe. I tugged on it and beat on it, and now these fingers are kind of sprung. I think I'm probably going to replace this piece of pipe, unless I can get it to spring down and want to stay down. I think the pipe is salvageable. Maybe somebody else knows the answer to this problem. Is it possible I'm using the wrong cap for this style of pipe? If you know the answer, please leave me a comment, because I don't want to have to do this every year, that is for sure. Well, we'll do some research and get some parts coming and finish this video later. Thanks for watching. All right, it's a few days later. I've done the research, and I'm not thrilled to tell you what I found. They're meant to go in and never come out, which is not awesome, because I like to clean my wood stove pipes on a regular basis. I'm not used to this style, this triple wall style. In the last two houses that I've installed wood stoves, I've used the stainless double wall, and it has a different design cap, like I was talking about in the last part of the video, how it goes down and interlocks, and when you want to clean it out, you just pop it off. Take the cap in, set it on a bench, use a wire brush, clean it up. You don't have to do it up in the air. These apparently are designed to snap in and stay in forever. And when you want to clean it, you have to go around the top of it and pull all these screws out and disassemble the top, and then run your brush through the top of this. Then I suppose you could take this part down, take it in the shop and clean it up on a bench so you weren't doing it out there. But it's still, you're gonna have to do everything from this grill down up in the air. All that stuff's gonna go all over your roof and blow in your face in the wind, which is not ideal. I don't really like it.
Had I known that, I probably would have spent the extra money and done the same double wall stainless out here that I have in my house, but this stuff is a fraction of the price. But I guess with a fraction of the price comes with less than ideal circumstances. So we were able to repair that good enough. We're gonna stick this on here, down here in the shop, because this is all about chest height or higher, and I don't want to do it up there. And I actually remember this from when I was installing it the first time. I don't really like the way this style fits. It's locked in there, but it can be infinitely crooked. That side popped back out. This lip right here stops in the top of that pipe, and then you've got this little gap up there. So that's what I'm feeling for. I'm feeling around to make sure that that lip is all the way in, and it is all the way around. But as you can probably tell here, this thing is real goofy. This drives me nuts. I don't like it at all, but it's the only cap option that they make for this pipe, so we're stuck with it. It flops around, but it doesn't come off, as we found out. I don't know if you can tell from the video, but that's crooked just sitting there. But the whole thing is so flimsy that there's no way to really... Whatever. It is what it is. Let's go put it up. Just as simple as that. Look at that crooked cap. Crooked and bent. What a piece of junk. That breaks my heart. I'm also kind of offended. Now let's go do some maintenance on the wood stove and get a fire going. So after the first part of our video, I did some digging trying to find some replacement parts for that Quadrafire stove. And what I stumbled upon was a company called Lynn Manufacturing out of Lynn, Massachusetts. And they specialize in making high temperature composite type materials. And they actually have, this is a universal baffle blanket that you can cut to size. It's the same width, 1/2 inch as the original Quadrafire one, but about 1/4 of the price. So we're going to cut that to fit that one, install it, and I bought 2 of both because I have this same stove in my house. It's just a little bit different base on it, but it's the same firebox. And that stove is only about 1 year old, but I like to buy things before I need them. So I bought 2 of everything. That's in a lot better shape than that one, that's for sure. So let's cut it up. There we go, a new blanket. Now we got these busted up fire bricks. They also had these listed in the exact size that we needed. They packaged their stuff really well too. There we go, new baffle boards. They are the exact factory replacement. In my search for replacement parts for this stove, I did find that Quadrafire does service their stoves as far as replacement parts go, but they're very, very expensive. I'm really glad I found this company. They have a lot of parts listed, not just for Quadrafire stoves. If you have a Lopi or an Englander, they have a lot of different stoves listed and parts, and some of their stuff, like this blanket, is universal because it's real easy to cut it down to the size that you need. When I found them, I found that they do a lot of their sales and marketing on Amazon. So they actually have an Amazon store, and I was able to order them directly from Amazon. So I'm gonna leave a link in the description. If you have a stove that needs some replacement parts, check them out through the link and see if they got something for your stove. All right, here we go. The first thing to go in is the fire brick board. We've got to be real careful because they're very lightweight and very brittle. And now, let's see if we can get the blanket in there without tearing it. Now our little bracket that keeps it from sliding forward. Just like that. We'll clean this junk out and get ready for a fire. I could use this opportunity to show you a little trick that somebody taught me years ago. I've been using it ever since, and it works. I was always dreading having to clean the stove on my wood stove. And I like wood stoves that have glass rather than just having a solid door that you can't see in. But it was always a pain to keep it clean. And then somebody told me to use regular water or glass cleaner, put it on a rag, get it wet, go into the stove and get a bunch of ash and clean it with that. And that's what I've always done. There wasn't much black on here, but you can see where it is. It just wipes off. And I don't know the science behind it. That guy told me that there's something in the ash that when you've done it for a long time, it leaves some sort of film on the glass that makes it easier and easier to clean so the soot doesn't actually adhere to the glass. And I have to believe him because when this stove or the stove in my house is at its worst, you really don't even have to use ash. You could just use a wet cloth and wipe it right off. It works every single time. So I always do it, and it works phenomenal. This stove is actually out of my old house. I built a new house and shop. I got this shop about 3 years ago. I built the house. I've been in it about a year, and I wanted a new stove in the house that was taller, so I got this same stove, but it has a cubby underneath it, and it sits about a foot taller. So I put that in the house, but I love this stove so much, I took it with me before I rented that house out, the house I just moved from, and I put this stove out here. So that's really the point of this, was to tell you that this stove is about 7 years old. And as you can see, since day one, I've always done that to the glass. Just like brand new. I think we can call this project a success. First fire of 2025 in the shop. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching, folks. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to my channel, and drop a comment below.